All right. So 2023 is about to begin. And one of the things I've noticed a lot of people asking me about for the past year has been, hey man, what happened to those SpeakDom videos you used to do? You really helped me out. Like, what happened to them? I missed those videos, man. And that actually meant quite a bit to me because even though these videos don't get the most amount of views on either of my channels, they're the most important videos that I make as far as how important they are for me because I can make 100 videos about the next Marvel movie or over 3,000 videos about Dragon Ball. But while those are fun to do, and while those videos are, especially in Dragon Ball, what has paid my bills for the past 7 years, these videos are the most important because I feel like I'm making an actual change. And even if these videos only get out to one person or even two people, much less 100, 1,000, whatever, and let's say 1,000 people hear this, and out of that 1,000, 3 people are inspired by it, I've done my job because that means that somebody out there trusted me enough to listen. So first of all, I want to thank you for clicking onto this video. Now, because of the fact that you trust me, and I'm going to give you reasons to trust me big time now that I'm bringing the series back. So yes, Speakdoms are indeed back, folks. I'm going to do them every week or every couple weeks on the weekends when I can. That is something that I can't give you an exact date, like an exact guarantee it'll be every single week or even every couple weeks, but I'm going to do them as best I can. And I want to discuss two things on this one. I want to discuss why I haven't uploaded a Speakdom in a while, because I want to tell you what was going on, and I want to discuss the first major topic, which is getting rid of people in your life who no longer serve you. And when I say the word serve you, I don't mean literally like a butler serving you like a slave. I mean people who no longer see you for who you are and who are no longer of value to you when it comes to friendship and or business. I'll get into that later. So if you're new here, a Speakdom is a video where I just talk about whatever's on my mind. It could be a rant. It could be something I read, something I saw. It could be stuff about investing I've talked about. I've talked about relationships. Whatever I can talk about that I feel confident enough to discuss based on my own life experiences and based on me seeing other people and what they've done, the mistakes they've made, their pitfalls, and how I've learned from them. So, first of all, where have the Speakdoms been? I'm going to make this quick. So, in the past 2 years, since 2020 when the pandemic began, I went on a journey of enlightenment and on a journey of understanding. I went through a breakup in 2020. I've talked about this before, although I'm not going to go into details on that on this video. This sort of opened up my eyes because I had this issue, and then I had another issue with another friend, and these two issues happened so close apart, and my friend said, you need to go to therapy because you've got some unresolved issues. So I went to therapy. This is in 2020, and I've been in therapy since then. Now, originally I was doing it every week. Now I do it once every couple months because I have been able to work through my issues of the past, and I've become a much smarter person. And that's why I've chosen to bring back the Speakdoms now, because even though I was doing Speakdoms while I was in therapy, telling y'all what I have learned and sharing it with you guys, I decided to take some time off because I felt like I wasn't really truly ready to give advice until I had really reached a new level and a new height in my spiritual understanding. Now, if you are listening to this and you don't know what I'm talking about, what do you mean by spiritual understanding? What I mean is not anything involving like religion or spiritualism. I mean more so my understanding of the world, which in some ways that is tied to it, but more so my understanding of the world and most of all, understanding of me. Because how many of you guys out there live your life, but you don't really know who you are and you don't really know what you bring to the world? The thing is, you may know and you may know what you want to bring, but you might not be there yet. And that's what these videos are going to hopefully help you get there. Because anybody who knows me on a personal side knows that ever since I started doing YouTube over on Geekdom 101, 8 years ago now, I started this because I wanted to talk about, nerd stuff, but I really wanted to sort of talk about these real life topics because I want people to learn from them and to learn from my mistakes. Now, I want to tell you this, when I talk about these kinds of things, Some of you guys are not ready to hear them. Now, what do I mean by ready to hear them? It's not that you're not listening. It's that for some of you guys, depending on your age, your whereabouts in the world, and your experience and your maturity level, you might not really understand what I'm telling you. There are things that I was told 10 years ago that didn't really register with me until very recently. There were things I was told 3 years ago that didn't really register until this year. And that all has to do with a lot of self-work. I have done a lot of work on myself to become a better person. And if you've noticed how I've been behaving lately, it's pretty prevalent. And those who know me in my personal life, you know that I'm a completely different person than who I was in 2020, 2019, 2018, especially 2015. I mean, I am a different dude in every way. So, the topic of today's video, all that stuff I just mentioned, I'm going to go into it later on in future videos, okay, if you want me to. Leave a comment down below and let me know some of the topics you might be interested in hearing from these. Remember, this is not nerd stuff. This is like real life stuff, relationships, how to, if you want to be an entrepreneur, how to make money, how to acquire wealth, things like that I'm here to help you out with based on my experiences, or at the very least point you in the right direction. Today's topic is going to be about removing people out of your life who are bad for you. And this is something that you're going to be doing as you grow up and get older. Some of you guys, I know you're in your 20s. I'm in my 30s. I'm about to hit my late 30s this coming year. So I'm almost at 40, but I've lived a very interesting life and I've learned a lot, especially in the past couple of years. And, I have a friend of mine, and I'm not going to say who it was, but he was DMing me a few months ago about a friendship that he had with somebody that fell apart. This person, they were friends, and they had a falling out, and that person blocked them and this and that. Now, I began to ask the person, okay, what is your real friendship? And he was really emotional over this. And so that person started to tell me that, they were really close. That was his best friend. And I'm like, okay. And then we talk more, right? And I've come to find out that they've never even hung out in person. They're just internet best friends. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about internet friends versus real life friends. That's a different video. But there is a relation here. This dude, my friend, was completely a complete wreck. Now, what I did not tell him, because I didn't think he was ready to hear it. You understand? Again, you have to be careful when you give advice, because not everyone's going to get it. At least not right away. Maybe in 5 years you get it, maybe in 6 months, maybe right away. Everyone's different. Is that friendship was not a friendship that was a genuine friendship, because genuine friendships can have falling outs, but they're usually built upon for years and years and years and years and years, whether they be internet or real life. Really, I feel like a true friend is somebody who you have hung out with in person and who you have a very strong bond and a strong trust. So if someone's going to just block you over a misunderstanding, they were never your friend. That's not a friend to me. It's just not. I mean, if this pisses you off, if you're one of those people out there who has a bunch of internet friends you play Call of Duty with, to hang out on Discord, I'm not saying they're not really your friends, dude, but are they really your friend? Some of you guys are going to think, oh yeah, they're there for me. But are they really? What happens when shit hits the fan? What happens when social pressures get to them? What happens if one of their friends has a fight with you? Or there's a lot of variables in life, and do you really know them? The reality of what was going on with my friend is that he was very, very lonely, and there was some mental illness there. Not anything that's too crazy. He can work through it with therapy. It's not like he was born with it, but based on the way he was talking, he definitely was more lonely. And I've noticed this a lot in the world, is that people sometimes make friends because they're lonely. And what happens is when they're lonely, they attract other lonely people. Now, the problem is you might be a lonely person who's kind of a good, genuine, humble dude. But if you're friends with somebody else who's lonely, how do you know they're really that good? They might be maladaptive. They might have their own traumas. They might have their own issues. You don't know. But when you're lonely, and I've been lonely, so I know, I'm speaking from experience, you attract people to fill certain voids. But what happens is the older you get, the more that you realize that these people just don't, you either outgrow them or they eventually just don't serve you, or you see their true colors. And I have experienced all of these things in the past 2 years. I have had friends whom I have met since starting my YouTube channel that I will never speak to again. They used to be my friends. I will never talk to them again. Now, if they call me on the phone, hey Danny, it's been a while, how you doing? I won't hang up on them. I'll listen to what they have to say, but this idea of us rekindling our friendship, there are certain people that I just will not do it. Now, what am I getting to with this? Let me explain. Just try to follow me. I was told a long time ago that people come in and out of your life, and that's for friendships and relationships. You're going to date a girl. You're going to fall in love with the girl. You're going to have these great times. A breakup happens. You're going to cry, and you're going to be sad about it for a while. Then you meet another girl, and it doesn't quite click right away. But next thing you know, a few years have gone by, and the original girl is just like, well, they're gone. I wish them well. That's how it is for a normal, healthy person. There are obviously other issues there, and I'm going to do a whole video on trauma bonds because I really want to talk about this. It's something I dealt with. And if you guys have watched my SPEAKDOMS, you know some of this, but you don't know the whole story. And I'm going to get into more of it. But my friend was just really messed up, like almost traumatized over losing this internet friendship. And really what it is that I think that my friend was really lonely and needed a real friend. Now, again, I don't think he was ready to hear what I was going to tell him, but I was trying to be there for him as best I could. But there's only so much you can do when you're long distance, right? What I'm trying to tell you is this. Because of all of the work I've done in the past 2 years, my mind is now open. The third eye, which is a very Buddhist thing. If you're a Dragon Ball fan, you know about Ten Shinhan, Tien, and the third eye. That there's a very big symbolism there because it's right in the middle where your brain is. When you open up that third eye, some folks call it red pill. That's not what this is about. This is not a relationship red pill video. But some people have called it that. But basically, when you break your own trauma, when you do therapy, when you do some real deep dives about who you are and your experiences, and you grow from it, and you become more of an adult from it, when you do that, you tend to kind of see why people are really in your life, and you tend to see what they really bring to the table. Now, I am not saying that you should be friends with people who give you things. That's not what this is about. Don't misunderstand me. Friendship is a two-way street. And if you're the only one driving and they're not, that's bad. That is a very bad thing, not a true friendship. Friendship involves a lot of trust. If somebody does something untrustworthy, at that point you have to take a mental note and say, okay, this was untrustworthy. This person may not really be good for me because I don't want people like that in my life. I have outgrown a lot of people who I got to know over the internet in the past 8 years. I have outgrown them because I have genuinely done a lot of work on myself and they haven't. And now that I am free of my own loneliness and trauma, I'm able to see who they really were. I'm able to see that in reality, they were friends with me, quote unquote friends, but not really for the reasons I thought they were. I thought it was genuine friendship. Time will tell you who your real friends are. There is a very famous Jay-Z quote where he said, when the grass is cut, the snakes will show. And boy, is that true. But when you cut through the grass, you see where the real snakes are. And some of them are not necessarily overt snakes. They're not bad people, but they're in a certain state in their life where you're not there anymore. They're either constantly negative, constantly bitching and moaning, constantly being critical of others, constantly complaining, constantly. These kinds of people don't serve you. They do not serve you well in your life. You don't need people like this in your life because all they're going to do is drag you down. They say that you are the 5 closest people to you. You have to surround yourself with people who are going to make you better, not people who are going to be anchors. And I have been with women relationship-wise, and I have had friends who have been anchors to me, who have been a detriment to me. But while I was in the relationship, I didn't see it. I had blinders on. I couldn't see anything. Now, after all the work I've done, and by the way, if you're wondering what kind of work I did, different video. I'll tell you all about the books I read. I'll tell you all that stuff if you really want to know. But I noticed that when I started getting a lot of numbers on YouTube, Geekdom 101, I made a lot of friends. People in the community, people who are YouTubers, Twitch streamers, podcasters, and out of that group, only a small number do I still associate with frequently. Now, that does not mean that I have beef with the other ones. That's not what's going on here. It's just we don't really communicate except for the occasional Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. One of those types of friendships. You know what I mean? I hope you're doing well. That's it. But I foolishly thought they were all my friends, not realizing that what brought us together was this Dragon Ball Super, and what boosted my channel was this sort of this kind of like big community gathering every weekend and the discussions throughout the week. And people wanted to get close to me because of they thought I was entertaining, thought I was funny, thought I was this, thought I was that. And I've been able to make some real friendships from that. But I have also had people who I have sought out to get close to who have kind of shown me that they're not really worth being friends with for various reasons. One of them is envy, which I didn't notice right away, but it's very real. I'll do a whole video on that. One of them is sometimes they feel like they can bully you, and you kind of put up with it for a while, and then you eventually say enough is enough. That happened to one of my friends. Sometimes it's just people who are very negative, and you just don't want that kind of energy around you all the time. I'm here to help my friends. I love my friends, but if I'm giving you advice and I'm there for you and I'm being the best friend that I can be, and you're still spiraling, I'll do what I can, but my hands are tied. Ultimately, you have to be the one to pull yourself out of that hole. I can just help you. And there have been people who I have chose to cut off. There's even been people who I thought were very good friends of mine. I thought we were going to be friends forever, who in the times that I've been defamed chose to turn the other cheek and not say anything. I have seen people who have been in groups with other people who are literally trying to harm me and to spread defamatory statements about me. And rather than stepping up and saying, hey man, I know Danny's not like that, they just kept their mouth shut. You know why? Because they were afraid if they said something, they'd get turned on by the mob. So if there's somebody out there who considers the mob more important than the friendship, they're not worth keeping in your life, dude. They're just not. And chances are time will tell how much they really care about you. And let me tell you what will tell you this. One person in particular, this happened with. I was getting attacked. They did nothing about it. And they were witnesses to it. They knew it. They saw it. Didn't do anything. This same person loves to go on social media and insult other people and defend their political opinion, right? But they won't sit there and stick up for me, an actual friend who you claim to love. And it really bugged me. Now, what ended up happening was I cut them off. I just didn't speak to them. Didn't even like nothing. It's been, in many cases, almost a year. Nothing. Nothing. They have not tried to reach out to me. They haven't tried to squash it with me. They haven't tried to figure out what's wrong. If you really have a friend that you love, wouldn't you try to figure out what's wrong? Wouldn't you try to resolve it? Isn't that what adults do? And that's what tells me, like, okay, like this person, not to say they're a bad person. I am not saying they're a bad person. But this person clearly did not value the friendship as much as I did. And so the thing you have to understand, man, is that if there are people in your life, and let me tell you this right now, you might not want to hear this, but some of these people are going to end up being your family and your friends, or your, quote, friends. But there are even members of your family who might be like this, who are trying to undermine your dream. You want to be a basketball player. You want to play in the NBA. You want to be a musician. You want to start a band. You want to be a YouTuber. And all they do is bring about negativity And obviously there's different degrees to it. If they just are skeptical, that's one thing. But if they're actively trying to talk you out of what your dream is, you're really going to sit back and think about that and think, okay, are they talking me out because they're actually concerned? Or is there another reason? Is it their own ego? Is it control? I've done a lot of homework on the human ego. And you would not believe the things that I have found out. So, the important thing I'm trying to make with the Speakdom is try to sit down and look at the people in your life and figure out who's really there for you, who is there to support you, who is there to help you, who you want to help, who you want to support, and you elevate yourself together. You become better people together, or you separate, you have different life experiences, then you come back and talk about it. I have tons of friends like that. Like people who I respect. And the other thing too is you guys, you got to be real careful about like being friends with people that have certain ideologies that don't vibe with yours. These people who think shit like, oh, well, all the rich people are evil and this and that. Look, I know corporations and wealth inequality is a very real thing now. But there are people who I was friends with who would constantly shit on rich folks, even though they didn't know a single rich person. Meanwhile, in my life, not only do I know millionaires now, but when I was younger and I worked for the cable company, I would actually go to their home as a networking engineer to set up their wireless networks and set up their infrastructure, the defense. And all these wealthy-ass old dudes were super nice to me. They were always treating me good. This idea of a rich person having 5 butlers and looking down at everybody else, like that's nonsense, dude. That is nonsense. Almost every wealthy person I know is very genuine, but they're very careful who they talk to because of what I'm telling you about now. I didn't know this shit when I was fucking broke. Now I know. The reason why people who are rich don't try to make a lot of friends that are too below their poverty level is because that's what the area that breeds envy and that breeds, scavengers and hangers on. And you don't want those kind of people in your life if you're going to be a success when it comes to the arts, when it comes to business. If you actually want to build a business or actually like have a good, strong, healthy wealth for your descendants, you're not going to want to make friends with people who don't understand the sacrifices you've made and are going to sit there and make excuses and say, well, you got lucky. Whenever any of your friends says you got lucky and they're being serious about it when it's something you worked hard at, question their friendship. And I mean that. Let's say you want to be a basketball player, and let's say that you go out on the court every freaking week. You go out on the court and you train 4 a.m. and you finally make the college basketball team. You get recruited by 4 or 5 different colleges. Then your friend says, oh, you got lucky. What kind of friend is that, bro? I've been waking up since at 4 a.m. going to the gym every day, going to do drills every day. You know what I'm saying? And you really have to look at that. You have to think about and not worry about the loneliness, because here is the big secret of life. It is better to be lonely and be at peace than to be surrounded by snakes. If you have 100 friends, but they're all snakes and they're all like bad people, whether they be sociopathic or just selfish or whatever is wrong with them, they might just be toxic, they might be mentally ill, whatever. Doesn't matter. There's a lot of different definitions here, and I'll be going into more of this in future videos. You really don't want to be around them. You want to be around winners or people who at least have ambition. I cannot be around losers. There's people right now listening to this who want to succeed. That's what these videos are for you. If you're going to sit back and feel sorry for yourself and blame everybody else but you, this ain't for you. Because that's literally the kind of person you don't want to be friends with. Because they will sell you out. And eventually, once you soar way high, way beyond it, you're not going to want them around, because whenever they call you, it's for something negative or because they need a favor. It's never to see how you're actually doing. And that's just something that I've learned in my experience. So do yourself a favor. Sit back and look at the toxic people in your life and slowly but surely weed them out. If you're worried about breaking off a friendship, you don't have to. Just keep your distance. Keep them at arm's length. Don't let them get too close. Don't let them know what you're thinking. Do not let these people know what you're actually thinking. Like when it comes to something important, when it comes to your success. For example, if you've got friends, if you've got this awesome idea for like a new piece of software, and you've got friends in the software industry, be real careful who you tell, because that person will take your idea, steal it right from under you, make a program, sell it for $1 billion, and you get zero. You have to be you have to keep a lot of your ideas close to your heart, man. So this is going about 25 minutes, y'all. Look, Happy New Year. I'm going to be coming back with more of these. Let me know what you thought about this one, but think about who might be in your life who don't have your best interest. People who don't have your best interest at heart should not be close to you. I'm not saying you have to like cut them off or block them. You can still be cordial with them and be acquaintances, but you do not want them to get into your inner circle because it'll become like a disease. Trust me on this one. I not only have I seen this a million times, I've experienced it. And I've learned from it. Never again. Take care, y'all. Love you. I'll see you guys in the next one.